They say in life nothing is accidental. A series of events goes hand in hand with ideas and thoughts, and with our next guest, that is particularly so, because today we feature the Ukrainian artiste and wonder and producer and singer that is called Anuka. Absolutely phenomenal artist. Too long since I've reviewed her, even though I've got on my playlist two other reactions to two other singles. But these events go hand in hand with ideas and thoughts, especially with this particular single called Guma. I see, I hear, I say nothing is the words repeated, but it's all about the music. And as a music reactor, I'm really intrigued because the video is going to speak volumes, it's going to speak to me, I feel, because it's all about the images in the video and it's all about the music, which is great because sometimes that I find it very disparaging sometimes when I've got to go through a lot of different lyrics. But today it's simplified and that's the way I like it. So she's inspiring and aspiring manager, record producer for other people as well. And I can only congratulate a woman that has just stayed with the music industry and has been so consistent that her legions and legions of fans idolize her for the creativity that she continuously produces, just like this. Guma in English means rubber. What does that mean? I don't know the connection to the video. It's my first time watching. But let's watch it, let's enjoy it, and let me, if it's your first time, introduce you to one of the Ukraine's best female producers, vocalists, and artists they've ever produced. And she also represented Eurovision years ago, came back to Eurovision as well to do the middle of the show act, and 180 million people were left breathless with her performance. It just stole the whole show. It really did. Why? Let's take a look at what she's about and listen to the music that she creates. Be open-minded, it's very alternative, but it's so enjoyable. She makes it that way, she really does. And I'm sure this video won't disappoint. Looking forward. Take it away, Anuka. If I can get it going. Wow. Musically, wow. That is, I can imagine at a live concert just listening to all of that live would be phenomenal, because sometimes when words fail, music speaks, and there was few words there, but it didn't need it. The music carried you, and so did the wonderful video that accompanies that particular song. Congratulations, Anuka, another very creative project that speaks volumes. And for me, I'm going to give you an analysis of what I think the video's about. I really think it's an evolvement of her musical career, her development, her experimental stages that she's had to go through to produce the sounds that she does, and that she does so well. I looked at the different images. You've got the high-rise tower with the Nuka looking out, but that's her reflecting, that's her thinking, that's her space. You know, to release, to she needs those wide spaces to be creative. So it kind of develops the idea that to be so creative, you need to you need to go to places where it's so remote and so away from everything that you still feel top of the world. You still feel like you're overlooking everything, because you need that feeling of that uplifting feeling to continue with the energy you need to be creative. So that's what I got from the long tower situation. We have her walking into, in the beginning, a series of images of the woman walking in with the coat and the bag and the scarf, and there she is walking into a building, and it's a place of work, and it's representing, I think, women in many different lights, that they are supposed to be the secretary, and you see an image with a group of people in a room where they're all being, typing, and it's like a woman breaking free from that. It's almost like telling her own story. She never wanted to work in an environment like that. She never wanted to be the traditional housewife that went to a job that just was a typist and always secondary to a man. Because then we have the man coming in playing the flute, and some people said to me that is Eugene, and I don't know if it's him or not, her writing partner, and also, her and Nata, I'm sorry, himself and Nata are partners in business, but I don't know if it was him in the video. But if you're a fan and it would be interesting to see who the male was. And you've got her in almost like a prison situation where she's sitting and she's looking into the screen at the man on the other side, who's very carefree, and he's not really listening. And it's like she's wanting him to listen. And that's her frustration coming out. I feel during her lifetime, she's always felt like there was a barrier between her and, in the music industry, the males that surrounded her who never listened. It was almost like being in a prison situation where her voice was never heard. So that represented that bit. Then you have the Asian girl who appears, and you can see the typist, and she's in on the screen, and that probably represents the influence of business, where a lot of influences from superiors are coming from Asian countries. I don't know, there's an Asian connection, Asian boss, female boss thing, but it's very robotic. It's almost like the conflict between the worker and the new boss. She might be female, but it's still locked in that situation of traditionalism. But then you have Anuka going forward, where she's twisting there's a big machine and she's twisting the knobs, and almost like a scientist in that kind of situation, where for me that represents her experiments with music and sounds. That it's a soundproof room, it's very clinical, it's very just her and her partner in business, Eugene, and she's experimenting with the music. So that's a reflection of that, I think, no more. And it's just about how all technology has come her way to lead her into the very final scene, which is here, where she's standing and waiting. And it's also, the little machine, the disc where she produces her sounds, and it's like a DJ piece of machinery where they can mix the record plays and then they make that wah 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 sound, that kind of thing. And it's her standing in front of it, that she's in charge of her own music. It just takes, and the guy behind in white, the scientist bit, I'm kind of wondering what that is about, but it's almost like she portrays that her music comes from this kind of environment. And almost representative is the male figure there, would be Eugene, who overlooks everything. He's a sound producer. He listens as she creates. So it's all about creativity. It's all about the development of getting away from the traditionalist side of things, which was always women in doing typist jobs, always secondary to the man, and then she's not being listened to by her superior, so she breaks free and does her own record label. And I think the big machine where she's twisting the knobs and that is the development of her career, where she's now in control of all of this machinery, all of this technology, of herself. And this is what I feel it represents. And even in the few lyrics, and I'm just going to go to the lyrics, so bear with me to wrap this up. You've got the I don't hear, I don't see, I don't say repeated. I don't say. That's her really being quiet. It's almost like saying the music speaks for itself. I don't want to hear, I don't want to see what's going on in other situations. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to be political about it. And she's got below, I leave the web, I cross the border. She does, because in her career, she's become her own person. And that's what it's about. And she is the first who managed to convey this to a wider audience convincingly, and with the taste of music that she delivers, which is the traditional aspect, which is music from her point of view, her heritage, and she does it so well. And the journey to get to the point of being in front of the audience with the machine, as depicted in that last scene just here, that's what the video, and it's track 6 on Collier. Sorry, I think the album is Glimmer by Anuka, and track 6. It's track 6. And I'm looking forward to reviewing other tracks of that album, and I hope you come with me as well. It's been difficult to translate because there was lots of images floating around my head, so I had to put them in order, but I hope I got there and I hope you've enjoyed it.